Morning, everyone. I thought I would do a quick video to give you my thoughts on Bitcoin. I haven't done one for a while, so I will give you my different scenarios for the short, midterm, and then give you my bias at the end of it. I've also just partnered up with the exchange BingX. They offer crypto, forex indices, commodities. I was looking for an exchange which would do all of that all in one place to save me bouncing between different terminals, and they seem to be doing it. So I have partnered up with them, and if you want to support the channel, then there's a referral link below which gives me a little kickback. Okay, so let's get started. Right, so what I'm looking at for Bitcoin are three different scenarios: a slightly higher leg to complete the move, a completed move with now a correction, and a more bearish count, which is this is just a sort of midterm X wave of a WXY, which will give us another three legs lower, probably down to about the 12K. That would be sort of in line with sort of global recessions, those sort of things. Okay, so let's get started with the first one. So let's put some structure on here. And basically what we're looking at is this range which started at, or which came down in June to about 17.5. Then we moved back up to about 25K. I think that set a range for a good number of months. Then we had the FTX low, which took us outside of that range. And ever since we sort of started that slight move up, and then obviously we've had this mammoth move in the last few weeks. And I put a channel on there which sort of I think contains that move quite nicely. And you can see this range which we set up from sort of midsummer. You can see we tapped the mid of that range perfectly, and we've just pierced the top of that range, taking the liquidity above this area here. So I think that frames it quite nicely from a structure perspective. If I chuck on a few other things, you can see here that we've highlighted that range deviation after the FTX low, and then obviously on here I've highlighted that we've just pierced through, and we've had that sort of nice rejection with a good bounce afterwards from piercing through that sort of previous high, and we still haven't breached that high or closed above it yet. So that's a key point for myself. So let's remove that. Let's put on the first scenario, which would be sort of a move slightly higher. I've used sort of an early wave count here. This isn't my preference because I think this wave here looks quite nice as a 5, but with this channel on here, you would like to see it touch the top of the channel. And you can see up here, we've got this area of sort of trading back from before sort of May, June time, which I think we could potentially tap into that before we have a lower correction. But the key thing here is has to break above this previous high and close to invalidate the lower sort of counts that I have. This isn't my preference, but that is the first one that I would put on there. The next one is probably my preference until we break some lower levels. But with this sort of count quite clean, with this final fifth and showing sort of volume divergences, which I can put on here as well as divergences on some of the other indicators I use. You can see that this here looks like a very nice clean fifth wave. So I would prefer this count myself. I sort of feel that we'll break through this channel in the next move, filling in this fair value gap and coming back down to the sort of wave 4 low before we get a further bounce. And then again, I think we'll probably come lower into this sort of area closing the CME gap into sort of the sort of sub 20K area. Then we would expect a bounce in this sort of purple box. If we don't get a bounce there, a strong reaction, then I think the chances are that we'll be looking at the third option. But this is still my preference, and I would still play this as it's coming down, and until it's invalidated, this is what I think we'll probably be looking at, and this will be a 1-2 with the next big 3 leg to come. This does depend obviously on the macro environment as well. If the macro environment turns south, then I would think that this then becomes more likely to drop and give us a lower low. I will do a video, or at least post some charts on what I think is happening with the S&P and other indices as well, and also on Dixie. But this is my preference at the moment. I think as long as we hold sort of this area here, this is good for another push higher. I think because this has taken probably, what is it, from November till now, effectively till February, it's taken sort of 3 months, or 3.5 months, yeah, because it was end of November. I think you'll find that this correction takes a little while. You might find it's into April time before we start seeing any sort of major run back up. You wouldn't expect it to just dip and then carry on. You would expect some time to be taken in that correction. So I think overall we'll see maybe a fast dip, then some sideways for a while, and then another dip to finish off the 3 waves before it continues. But looking at around the sort of 19K region for the bottom to be in. But as I say, I would play each of these moves. So that's that one. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is the more bearish count. And this is actually very clean. This is a nice expanded flat. You've got your 3, 3, 5, and if the economy does start to dip off, and if we start seeing Bitcoin breaking these levels down here at the bottom of this range, I think this is more likely. We will probably break through and then have a sharp drop, final capitulation, which will take us to those sort of 12K levels before then grinding back up. I don't think we'll see a huge reaction. I think we'll have a lot of people sort of expecting even lower at that point. And then it will take a bit of time, I think, for Bitcoin to, or the retail to gain confidence again to really take it back up. But that's what I would expect if we start seeing levels at these sort of sub 18K area. If that breaks, then I think it's very likely that we will at least sweep these lows, if not go a lot lower, with a final capitulation level. So they're my thoughts at the moment. I think, as I say, this one is very bearish, sub 12K. I think until we see these levels break, we should assume that it's going to be something like this, which is a correction, and then obviously continuation further and higher. So if that's helped, then please give me a like and comments in the YouTube. I'm also going to restart my Telegram channel so I can actually interact with everyone. So if you would like to join that link is also in the description below. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.